Yeah. Really? Well, I still don't want to start early.
Madam Chair, it is 7 o'clock.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 7 p.m. I welcome you to the February 15th meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee for the Town of St. Andrews. Just a quick recording of attendance. We have everyone here but Mr. Simmons, who is on vacation. So those members that are still on the committee are actually here in person, except for Kevin. So there's our attendance. I think we all have a copy of the agenda in front of us, looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Councillor Heenan, thank you very much. Do we have a seconder? Second, Mr. Ingles, thank you very much. If there's no discussion, all those in favor of adopting the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. That is carried. Thank you very much. So looking for a declaration of conflict of interest for anyone, if it may apply tonight. Seeing none, we will move on. We have a copy of the minutes from our last meeting, which, as Councillor Heenan said, seems like forever ago. I hope we've all had a chance to, excuse me, review them, and I'd be looking for a motion to approve these minutes. Thank you, Mr. Cross. Councillor Heenan seconding. If we have no edits, additions, subtractions, all those in favor of adopting the minutes from November 16th, please signify by saying aye. That is carried and unanimously. Thank you very much. So here we are at our first meeting of the year, and according to our rules, the first order of business is to appoint chair and vice chair for our little committee.
Actually, Madam Chair, your first role is looking at the Planning Advisory Committee report from the chair from 2022.
I got my things in the wrong order. I'm so sorry. Pardon me. All right. So I put together a year-end report for 2022, just to summarize the activities that we undertook in the year. Hope everyone had a chance to kind of review it. This is following my format from the last time I was on the town's PAC. So it just basically summarizes our views to council, which took up quite a bit of deliberation time this year. And we talk about the committee makeup. Anyone has any questions? Anything else you'd like me to cover? If we could get them, yes.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to say for a small committee, I think we had accomplished a lot last year, and considering the fact that we did lose our chair. So I think we all need an applaud on the back for what we achieved as a small committee and the difficulty issues we had. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I agree. Thank you. Do we have a motion to adopt this report? Councillor Heenan, do we have a seconder? Thank you, Mr. Ingles. All right, there are no changes or questions or edits. All those in favor of approving the annual report for 2022, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And all those in favor, thank you very much. That is approved as well. All right, so that was the first order of business. Now, the second order of business in our first meeting of the year is to appoint/elect a chair and vice chair. So this is as per our operating rules in section 14 and section 25 and section 26. So we have a recommended motion and some blanks to fill in if I could get a motion. Mr. Heenan, Councillor Heenan, excuse me.
Very sorry. I would like to appoint you as our chair instead of acting.
Okay, is there a seconder for that?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you very much. Are there any other nominations before I proceed? No other nominations? And one more time. No other nominations. Thank you very much. All those in favor of the motion, it's kind of awkward. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. That is approved. I appreciate that. Thank you. And we have one more motion on this item. If we could get a motion on, yes, thank you. Councillor Heenan.
I would like to nominate PAC member Kevin Simmons as vice chair. Is that what we're doing now? Yes, as vice chair.
Are there any other nominations? I can't nominate.
Madam Chair, you can nominate.
I
There's
can
there's no rules or regulations saying who can or cannot nominate.
Okay, thank you. I'm actually going to nominate Mr. Cross to be
Mhm.
vice chair, if I may.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure how we handle this competing motions.
You can go by consensus if you would like to start. So if you want to just do a random consensus of your committee members that are here
Okay.
to say who you'd like to be as chair, or
Okay.
sorry, vice chair, then
Okay,
that'd probably be most appropriate. And then you can insert the motion.
that sounds great. Thanks so much. So I'll go around the table. Did you want to express a preference? We have to go by consensus. You're gonna have to vote anyway.
I'll support Jeff Cross.
Councillor Heenan,
I will support PAC member Ross as well.
okay. And I can't vote. Nor can Jeff. So I guess that's a consensus.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Agreed.
So by consensus, appointments are myself, Jill Stewart, as the chair for 1 year,
Mhm.
as well as Jeff Cross as vice chair for 1 year. So just to button all this up, do we have seconders and we should vote? Seconder, okay. For both of those, you're gonna second for us?
I'll second.
You're gonna second both of those, or did we already get a second on that?
I'll second both of them and then that way we're short.
Sorry, I've already lost track. Okay, so all those in favor of these two appointments, please signify by saying aye. And none opposed. Thank you. Same to you. Thank you. Okay. All right, so other administrative items, the next item is PAC 230209. This is the review of the operating rules, the Community Planning Act and a municipal plan and zoning bylaw. Contained within this is a lot of reading. I know that we've also received e-copies last year that are actually searchable. If that makes it easier for you to work with the documents, I certainly appreciate that little thing as well. But if we've all received the rules, I just wanted to mention before we get a motion on that, that in section 33, I'll never find that page, but in section 33, the agenda items are listed, but it omits terms and conditions. And that is one of our agenda items if you look at the format of our agenda. So I was sort of thinking that as per the rules, we need 30 days notice to bring a motion to the table as per the operating procedures. So I just wanted to kind of put out there that next month I'll be looking for a motion to just add terms and conditions to section 33 under the agenda items list to button that up a little bit. So that was, that's a little heads up. Yeah, yeah.
Madam Chair, may I suggest one other modification?
Yes.
As has been tradition so far with the Council of St. Andrews, they do a land recognition. I
Mhm.
was wondering if the committee would be interested in adding the land recognition as part of the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, that's actually a very good point. I will have to learn how to say that proper and give it the respect it deserves. So absolutely, if someone wants to give me a lesson. But anyway, those are changes to the rules that we won't absolutely implement tonight or tomorrow, but next month, the next meeting, maybe we bring some motions to the floor and make those changes to our operating procedures. But in the
Madam Chair,
meantime-
I have the proper pronunciation all done out from Kate Akagi. I
Okay.
will forward it to you because it's very well done.
Phonetic.
Yes,
Perfect.
phonetically done. Okay.
That's what I need. Thank you
Okay.
very much. I appreciate that.
And Madam Chair, don't worry, I always include it on the agenda, so with phonetics as well.
Oh, with phonetics as well. Oh, that's so helpful. I will only need to say it a couple times and I'll figure it out, I'm sure. Okay, so I am looking for a motion to accept all these documents that we've been given for our review. If nobody has any questions, there's not a whole lot, pardon me, that we can modify. So that's how I feel about
I
that.
hate to keep doing it, but I'll put there's only 3 of us, so I'll put the motion
Yes.
forward.
Thank
So
you.
I want it everywhere.
Have I got a seconder for this motion to accept our documents?
I'll second that.
Thanks.
How do you feel, Dwight?
You're fine. Okay. But you do confirm that you got everything. Okay, that's great. Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder to accept our documentation. So all those in favor, if you're ready for the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi, Madam
And
Chair.
that motion is also carried. Thank you. All right, so this item, PAC 230210, we are going to make some recommendations to council for member appointments. This covers off rules in our operating procedures, rule section 30, 31. The background, currently the Planning Advisory Committee consists of 5 of us with 2 member seats vacant. And I think we wanted to sort of wait until local governance was completed so that we could maybe get some applications from Shamcook and Bayside, which I'm happy to see that we did. So we can go through, I guess we should probably well, no, we don't need a motion on the table yet because we should probably select a couple names first. But we've got 4 applications here. I personally don't know any of them. I don't know if that's the same for everyone else around the table, but anyone else wants to.
Madam Chair, I'll also suggest, as a reminder to the PAC, you can have a committee of 5 members and up to 9. So that's a decision you guys have to make. You did want 2 representatives from Bayside and Shamcook, which you have 2.
Yeah.
You also have 2 additional names for consideration. I know in the report I put in that for continuity and ease, usually 7 is a good number to work with. If you wanted to go to 9, I mean, you can review the applications that are there, but I would recommend an odd number just for voting purposes as well as just continuity. And to note, previous council was 7 members, so it's just one of those aspects that just looking at consistency. The only reason why
Right.
we're at 10 is with the new local governance reform.
Right, and I think, filling myself, I feel like filling the vacant seats would be sufficient, but I would certainly defer to the rest of the committee.
May I make a comment?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's very important, as Councillor Annette says, that we have both Shamcook and Bayside represented. Their concerns need to be voiced at the PAC meeting. So I would be definitely very strongly support the 2 members who have applied for PAC that are one from Bayside and one from Shamcook. Thank you.
So, Councillor Heenan, you're suggesting Mr. John Tanner and Mr. Jeremiah Kerr too. Thank you.
Okay. So are we converting that to a motion? Or we can discuss it more after we get a seconder. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Thank you very much. All right, any discussion on the applicants and current approach? No discussion? 7.
That would be 7, and that would be the what you started, what PAC started with.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
And I'll just give a little bit of clarification. Mr. John Tanner has quite an extensive background in his report, so I think he would be a very good representative. Mr. Kerr has a little bit less of on his, but he is quality control for Skretting, so he does have to deal with constant rules, regulations, and processes. So I think he would also be a good representative. In addition, Mr. Kerr did run for council unsuccessfully for this round, but he does want to participate with a committee within the town.
We'll give him the training that he requires. No, just kidding. Just kidding. All right, so we have a mover and a seconder on Mr. Tanner and Mr. Kerr. All right. That's right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All right, that motion is carried. I will make that recommendation to council. Thank you very much for dealing with all that administrative stuff. That's good to get out of the way for the next year. Thank you very much. So now we move on to item number PAC 230211. This is a terms and conditions application for 22 Maple Court for Dylan and Kristin Brown. They would like to build a second suite in their home. So this, I believe, is obviously Mr. Goffin. Did you want to take us through?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. Congratulations on being made permanent chair, and
Thanks.
Mr. Cross for vice chair. And it's good to see everybody again. I think we're starting off the year fairly easy, but we'll see. So
Share screen's ready for you,
I-
Xander.
Yep, I just realized I had started presenting and had not shared my screen. Let's do that. Go. So, oops, very strange things on my screen here. Play through it. So the lot in question is a 0.4 acre lot with a single unit dwelling on it. Currently, it's one story, bungalow style. It's in the serviced residential zone, and the application is to divide the existing dwelling into two self-contained dwelling units, and that would make it a converted dwelling. The new 1,200 square foot basement is significantly over the size for an accessory dwelling unit. And either way, that would have been a variance. So the converted dwelling requires terms and conditions. So here we are. And just for PAC's reference, a converted dwelling is any change in units in a dwelling in certain zones. So in this case, it's a single unit dwelling moving to a 2-unit. It could be a single unit moving to a 3 or a 2 to a 3. But in this case, it's 1 to 2. This is the property here. It's the end of a cul-de-sac, and the property next to it over here, the vacant one, that is owned by the same folks. So it's probably relevant for the application that they do own both of those, but there's nothing with that other PID as part of the application. It's all the same footprint of the house currently. And there's the zoning. And that's what it looks like from the street. So as a conditional use, it is allowed. There are some clues as to what the terms and conditions should address in the zoning bylaw. I'll get to that in a second. But they point to coherent design, and with any kind of terms and conditions variance, we do need to consider the external impacts that could occur off the property when these things are developed. So we also need to consider the zone. Service residential zone does allow up to 3 units by right. So if it was a new build, then 3 units would not require terms and conditions. So there are more intense uses allowed by right in the zone. So I don't think going from a 1 to a 2 unit is a significant. The duplex would also be allowed in the zone, so it's not a major change. There's lots of space in the driveway for an extra parking spot, which would be a recommended condition. It's a cul-de-sac outside of the town plat, and it's not something. Again, I don't actually think there would be any visual impact based on the designs, but it is worth considering where it is, and how often people are going to be driving by it. And I think in this case, it's Maple Court is off of Oak Court, off of Thomas. It's really tucked away back there. So I don't really think anybody would be seeing this too much. And the zoning bylaw deals with design by saying if you have a converted dwelling, then any stairs to dwelling units above the first floor would not be in the required front yard. In this case, it's a 1-story dwelling, so I don't think this is really relevant. I think it's going to be a walkout basement in the back. But since it's there, it's relevant. It is a recommended condition as well. And I haven't even mentioned that this would obviously add a rental unit, not significant, but in St. Andrews with the state of the rental stock, it's always good to have another unit there. I don't know the purpose. It could be for family. They might rent it out. But having a little bit more density in an already serviced building, no extra expense to the municipality is a good thing, and it really won't cause any impact outside of the property. And we haven't heard anything about it. We sent the neighborhood polling out. I didn't hear anything. Mr. Nopper, did you hear anything?
Yeah, so Mr. Gopin, just one comment, and it actually came from NB Power. You'll notice it's actually written into your terms and conditions on the report, and they want the proponents to submit their plans through their transit lines process. They just want to review them to make sure there's no other further issues or something that might go forward. But it seemed it was more just a please check with us type scenario. But that was the only correspondence we received.
So that might be a motion that somebody makes to add that as a condition. But what I am recommending is that two parking spaces meeting the standards of the zoning bylaw are provided on the subject property, and that exterior staircases to dwelling units above the first floor shall not extend into the required front yard, and the required front yard is within 25 feet of the property line. The house is set back, I think, about 30 feet. So again, this is very unlikely that condition would ever be needed to be enforced or even reviewed, but it's there just to be safe, and same with the parking. And as a reminder to PAC, with terms and conditions, you can either motion to approve staff's recommended conditions or motion to amend, change, remove, or add conditions. You can't really turn down the application. The only way to do so would be to add reasonable conditions that could not be met. And given what Mr. Nopper said about NB Power, it might be good to have a motion to amend these to add a condition that they have to send their plans to NB Power. And that's it for me. So I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gopin. I think Mr. Nopper took the initiative to add the working with NB Power as a term at the bottom of our little planning report. So it looks like he set us up
He
well
is always on the ball, that stuff.
All right. So based on our report and Mr. Gopin's presentation, is there a motion on the terms and conditions? I think so.
The NB Power kind of is a big, is a surprise. We've never had anything from NB Power as far as.
They're pretty close to the lines there.
Are they?
They're
Okay.
right by the subdivision. Yeah.
Okay.
Substation. Yeah.
Because as the gentleman says, this is a generic letter that he sent out, and I just my concern is how long will they get to get back to the people once they submit their plans? Like,
through your Councillor Heenan, in discussions with MB Power, they said it's usually a pretty quick turnaround.
Is
They
it?
just want to make sure that they review the plans, make sure there's no interference with the state substations
Mhm.
or any of the lines coming through, which I don't anticipate
No.
based on what we've seen and what they're doing. So I think it's just going to be more of a review, probably within a 30-day turnaround is
it'll
a
be like
general.
rubber stamp.
Well,
Yeah.
71 Thomas also had to contact NB Power
Okay.
before putting up their fence. So I think we're starting to involve them a little more. It's more visible to us. Mm. Thank you. Absolutely. So how does NB Power know about this?
So MB Power knows about this because they were sent a letter within the 100-meter radius, because they own property pretty much right close to them. They're provided a letter just like everyone
Adjacent,
else
yeah.
within 100 meters. So what we do is the planners will give us the PIDs and a circular 100-meter radius. And then as staff, we send out letters notifying them that there's a file coming up. If they have any questions, comments, concerns, they can address them to town staff. And at that point, MB Power reached out and sent the email that's attached with the report, basically saying, no, they need to submit. And that's, although they were sorry about it, it was one of those situations that it's standard practice that they're doing now more and more. So it's due diligence.
Yeah.
But you can, when we do the mail outs, we can have comments from anywhere within 100 meters, or depending if it's a, few properties in between, you can have, maybe we'll do a 200-meter mail out.
Yeah,
So it
commercial
really
has to do
just,
200.
yeah, it really just depends on what the topic is and what the general vicinity of the property owners are.
And just to clarify, so we can set the expanse of the mail out?
It depends. It really depends. And this has been a practice from within PAC, that if we see that, so for instance, we had a planning document from 539 Brady Cove Road. The only people or properties within that were institutional, so the Huntsman,
Right.
and then there was nobody else. So within a 100-meter radius. So it was decided at that point to get a few more notifications and input from the public that we would expand it to a 200-meter radius. It's really on a per decision, but 100 meters is the general rule of thumb that we use within the process. And Xander.
Yeah,
Mr. Gomez?
so Mr. Rob, if I can jump in here, I think there's actually something in the current bylaws about how many properties have to be included in the mill, and I think it's like 8 or something. So that's kind of how we judge it. And what PRAC's practice has always been is for municipal mail out. So within a municipality, or what were the municipalities previously, there would be 100-meter mail out, and in the rural areas, it would be a 200-meter mail out. So in Shamcook and Bayside, we have always done 200-meter mail outs. And that might actually be something that should be considered in the bylaws or operating procedures, wherever that is, do you want to go by number of properties or a certain number of meters? But definitely is worth considering now that you'll have a lot more applications that are for those areas, and you won't have as dense population, so getting that number will be harder. So that's why PRAC has always done 200 meters for the rural and previously rural areas.
So can we go beyond 200 meters? So I'm just thinking, and I realize this would have been PRAC, but in the former rural districts, something that might have impact on a larger footprint. Could we go beyond 200? Could we decide that we want to go beyond 200 meters?
There's nothing in the Community Planning Act that says that the mail outs are something that are encouraged, and really because they're encouraged, they're something that should always be done for the types of variances and terms and conditions. But it really doesn't specify how they should be done, what really, the parameters for them. So it could be bigger. I think 100 and 200 is fairly standard across the province, but the Community Planning Act is silent on it, so it's up to the committee.
Great, thanks, Sander. Mr.
Yeah, I
Copeland.
think if we were to look at, minimum number of properties required to be notified, then that would really be in distance that it takes to make that happen. So,
Okay. Good. Thank you.
If PAC wants to talk about that at the next meeting as a
Yeah.
consideration, we can bring back the rules of operation. So
yeah.
if you would like, Madam Chair, I'll bring back the rules again. We're gonna bring them back
we're gonna
anyways, so.
anyway, yeah, for sure.
So at that point, we can have that discussion.
Yeah, I might try and absorb that a little bit more tomorrow maybe and send out a quick thing to try and meet the deadline of the 30 days. But yeah, that sounds like a good thing to maybe try and put in there too. Anyway, all right. Yes, Counselor Eden.
Because Madam Chair, this is a whole new ballgame for us to have like rural areas in our impact. And so I think it's very important to come up with like a good cross section because in 100 or 200 meters, you could have one house,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think we're dealing with apples and oranges now, like it's different in town, in the plat. When you do 100, you could have 25, but when you have 200, you could have one. And maybe the thing needs to change to like minimum 5 residences or something, right?
Mhm,
But that
yeah.
would just be my
Oh,
comment.
it's a great thing to hash out for
Yeah,
sure.
thank you,
Agreed.
Madam.
Agreed. Have we got the terms and conditions approved on Maple Court yet? 22, okay. All right, so do we have a motion on the terms and conditions on this item? Mr. Heenan? Sure.
Madam Chair, they should be read just for public record.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
The motion is that the Planning Advisory Committee for the Town of St. Andrews applies the following terms and conditions for 22 Maple Court, PID 01331768 for Dalen and Kristin Brown. 1. At least 2 parking spaces meeting the standards of zoning bylaw Z22-01 are provided on the subject property. 2. Exterior staircases to the dwelling units above the first floor shall not extend into the required front yard within 25 feet of the front property line. 3. That the owners make an application to the New Brunswick Power through their online application process for working around transmission lines to have their proposal and plans reviewed to determine if there are any safety concerns or impact with the proposed house expansion and transmission lines and corridor that runs adjacent to the property. And Madam Chair, I'd so move this.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder? Thank you very much, Mr. Ingles. Is there any discussion, any further clarification or anything? If not, if you're ready for the question, all those in favor of accepting recommendations of staff as per the motion of Councillor Heenan, please signify by saying aye.
Aye, Madam Chair.
And no opposed, so that motion is carried. All right, so that is our only terms and condition item tonight. We have no zoning applications, no variance applications, no sign applications. Any new business? Any other member comments? Yes, Ms. Councillor Eden, how can you leave this committee?
I
You have so
know.
much to say.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This has been a great experience, and Alexander, I want to thank you personally for all the help you've given me over the last 2 years of being on this committee, because you've made the impossible possible. And so I really want to applaud you for the work that you do and the presentations, because you never leave anything to chance. And I think, Madam Chair, you're in good hands, and I really feel that Alexander is definitely an asset to your committee. Thank you.
Completely agree. Thank you very much. And thank you for everything. We'll still see you around. I mean, and enjoy Cuba. All right. And if that is all, I declare this meeting closed. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the kind words, Councillor Heenan. I'm sorry you're leaving the committee, but I'm sure we'll still get to see you on council, right? Not leaving that.